Welcome to Pathways to Aviation. We are what are we? We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization with one primary quest, and that is providing resources, training, certification, coaching, mentoring, lots of connections to high school and college students and active job seekers who wish to pursue careers in aviation and aerospace. That's our quest. We are that conduit to making your dreams happen, your career dreams happen. We do that a number of ways. Sorry, I'm just killing my email. We do that a number of ways, but everything is housed in our website. We designed and implemented a certification program. It's a 3-step certification program. We did that back in May of 2020. And what that does is it allows everybody to walk through a process while we guide you, where you can, one, understand who you are, what you want to accomplish, what are your soft skills, two, how you articulate all that awesomeness, how you showcase it in a written format. That's resume writing, cover letters, LinkedIn. And then the third step is how you articulate all that amazingness in a verbal format. So we teach you about elevator pitches and networking, and then definitely interviewing. And we believe that once you've gone through that spectrum, that series of steps and complete them, that you are ready to just crush it in any job interview. We don't want you applying for jobs when you're not ready, when you don't have a strong resume. If you put your LinkedIn link on your resume and your LinkedIn profile is not up to snuff, if you can't articulate, you can't share what you're hoping to accomplish in your life verbally, if you're not ready, we don't want you applying for jobs at that point. We want you ready. At the same time, employers are looking for ready talent for internships, part and full-time jobs, apprenticeships, all those. They want them now. They're eager to find the right talent. They don't want to spend a whole lot of money on finding you, and then they don't want to spend a whole lot of money, but they will on training you. They want you ready. So if you are ready and you have that interview with them and they pick you, they're going to want to slot you right into their workplace so that you can just pursue your dreams right there. Boom. Right? It's one thing to get the job. It's the next thing to have an amazing career. Pathways to Aviation helps provide all those resources to you. So yes, it's housed in our website, but then we have other things. We have a career planning workbook. We're issuing the next version on the 13th of October. We have weekly workshops. You can count on us being here every Wednesday at 4:00 Pacific to talk about a different topic. Next week happens to be the first workshop in our brand new series of workshops that go to February 2nd. And we start next week by going through a thorough review of our certification process, right? So you understand what you're looking forward to. So if you don't know anything about our career profile, if you don't even know what that is, we'll walk you through to help you create your career profile. If you've been through our process but haven't completed it, we'll give you the final steps to make that happen. We're going to talk you through it. And then we're going to talk to you about soft skills, resume writing, interviewing, all that, all the way through our last workshop, which will be preparing for career fairs on February 2, 2022. So we are really excited to make that happen. Before I go too much further, if you could just drop into chat, and then I'm sure Joe will encourage you. If you're going to drop into chat your name, the school you're attending or your employer, the position you're working, or what your career interests are. You might want to become a pilot, a mechanic, work in avionics. You might want to do sales and marketing in aviation. Put those in to the chat. That allows us, certainly at Pathways to Aviation, to get to know you better, but also allows our two panelists to get an idea as to the type of person who's here today. We're all here to learn about scholarships, where they are, how to just crush it, how to create the best application ever, and then what committee members are looking for when they review these applications. So we're going to get into that in just a minute. Before I go too much further, we have a guest, and I don't know, Tom or Jacob, which one of you wants to come on, but we have a guest who has an invitation for any of our Vegas attendees. Go ahead, either one of you, and unmute and share what you got to offer.
Jacob, do you want me to take this?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. At the National Business Aviation Association show in Las Vegas on the 12th of October, there will be an event that we are looking for some people to help us with. And for those that do, they will be able to get into the National Business Aviation Association show and see the show. We have some simple tasks. We're a publication, aviationusa.com, and we help young people with information about the aviation industry. Essentially, we include stories about young people doing good things, inspiring things in aviation. And we're going to share that magazine at the National Business Aviation Association meeting with a coffee social from 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock in Las Vegas on October 12th. And anybody here that could help that wants to do that, we would be interested in speaking with you and coordinating to have you help us. Jacob, did I miss anything?
No, that's about right. And really, what we're doing is trying to bring together industry people that are attending the show and young people as well. We'll have young people that are contributors to the magazine as well there. So really, it's going to be a very good networking opportunity for any young person that'd be able to attend there. And like I said, just be part of Aviation for the event is kind of what we're looking for.
Perfect, gentlemen. If you're unfamiliar with Aviation magazine, here is not the most recent version. The most recent version, I think, was published yesterday, and I've already read it. It's awesome. But Aviation magazine, it's incredible. I think it's aviationusa.com. Go there, check it out. There are a lot of like cool special interest stories, but everything is driven at our age, high school, college, even younger, to inspire them to pursue aviation as a hobby, but really as a career. And so that's why we work so well with Jacob and Tom at Aviation to really send the message. So we kind of partner with them, and they're going to MBAA in a couple weeks. We might even join them. If I'm there and any of the students who sign up, I will promise that I will walk you around as a group to meet people in the industry who can open doors for you. So that is my pledge to you. So cool. All right. We got that out of the way. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Evan, you're the master of what you offer to do. So if you could spotlight our two guests, what I want to do is move right into our scholarship workshop. And if you're unfamiliar with what we do here at Pathways to Aviation, we have two different types of workshops. One is, which will start next week, where there'll be a half hour of instruction. We'll talk about a different career topic, and then we'll bring in a guest speaker. So we do that for most of the workshops. But then there are a few special workshops where we'll have 2 or 3 guests who will come in, sit on a panel as if they're on a stage at a conference or whatever, or in a classroom to address a specific topic. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about, or was it last week? I can't remember now, career fairs. We've done it on scholarships. We'll do it for different industry areas like pilots, mechanics, engineers. But today we're bringing in 2 specialists, 2 amazing industry leaders I've both had an opportunity to work with both of them, right? Setsi comes on our workshops. She's a great mentor. And then Tara, I've been lucky enough to serve on a scholarship panel with Choose Aerospace. So both these women are amazing. What I want them to do is kind of share their career journey, their past, where they're at today, maybe even their why for being in aviation. And then we'll get into a series of questions to address different items, topics, areas within scholarships. So Ceci, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Pete, for the opportunity to be here. And I have over 46 years of experience in aviation. And I hope that experience of flying and traveling and mentoring and working on scholarships can allow me to give you some valuable information today. Well, in 1975, I got introduced to aviation and I got my private pilot certificate, and it totally changed my life. I knew I didn't want a career in it, but I went on and got my private, my instrument commercial seaplane rating, and then my flight instructor rating. And I immediately joined the 99s, the Association of Women Pilots, and realized that I enjoyed educating people and trying to make safer pilots and to encourage young people to get into aviation. So I worked in banking, and that helped pay for my passion of flying, luckily. And after I retired, I had lots more time. So I started getting even more involved. I fly Young Eagles to give kids their first exposure to aviation in an airplane flying over their city or their house. And I also am involved with the Aviation Explorers at my airport, Whiteman Airport. I noticed that there are some explorers here. I'm so glad that you're here because this Pathways to Aviation will give you amazing information to help you pursue your career in aviation as an explorer. Currently, I am in the 99 Southwest section of the Southwest region of the United States. I'm the co-chair of scholarships. So we review scholarships from other 99s. And I've been doing this for over 9 years. And it's amazing. It's so rewarding. I keep getting calls and emails from people to review their scholarships. So if anybody here wants some help, feel free to contact me, contact Pete, and I'd be glad to work with you. And I have some resources that I will give you too, where you can read my tips. I keep a list of aviation scholarships, and it's like 23 pages long or even longer than that. And there is so much money out there. And so you have the world in front of you. Aviation is very expensive if you want to pursue a career. And there's a lot of money out there to help you reach your goals in aviation because we need 117,000 pilots in the next 20 years. 118,000 mechanics and 150,000 crew members in the next 20 years. So look for the money and don't leave any money on the table. I think that's about all. So back to you, Pete.
Perfect. That was awesome, Ceci. Thank you so much. Tara, introduce yourself.
Hi, Pete. Thanks so much for having me. My background is not near as extensive or as impressive as Ceci's. I am actually fairly new to the aviation world. I was presented the opportunity a few years ago to do some administrative work for a few different aviation trade associations, one being the Aviation Technician Education Council, and then Choose Aerospace, which is a new branch off of that one, another 501c3. We just incorporated that one at the beginning of 2020. So I specifically do the scholarship program for Choose Aerospace. We just wrapped up our second year, so we're still getting our feet wet with it. I think last year for 2021, we gave away almost $50,000 in cash and products and test fees and all sorts of stuff. And it's just growing. I'm getting more donors for 2022. That program will be open December 1st, 2021. Put it on your calendars. But anyway, that is about the extent of my experience with aviation. I love to travel, so anything that we can do to keep the industry going and get these young kids in school for it, I'm all for.
That's incredible, Tara. Like you, I didn't know anything about aviation going into this role that I'm in now. But 8 years later, I feel like I'm in a comfortable spot and it's working well. So I get it. And Ceci, and I think I'm going to start with you on this question. You mentioned something about money is left on the table. and that aviation, especially, doesn't matter what your passion is, what you're striving for, whether you become a pilot, mechanic, whatever, it costs money. So can you help us, can you share like the importance of scholarships? And then when you're done with that comment, help point us in the direction of where to find scholarships.
Sure, the importance of scholarships. Well, I assume all of you attending here have a goal. And many of you want a goal to have a career in aviation. Am I correct? Even if you don't, if you want to become a pilot or a mechanic or get involved in aviation, it's going to take some time. Maybe you have to go to school or you have to have special training. And of course, tuition and training cost money. Today, it costs around $12,000. That's an estimate to get a private pilot certificate. And I would say up to $100,000 to get all your ratings to be on the road to a career pilot. Maybe some of the other people here have better estimates than I, but that's a lot of money. And Boeing recently did a study, and we need pilots, mechanics, aircrew, and other aviation professionals. I gave you the numbers before. 117,000 pilots are needed in the next 20 years. So if you want to be one of those pilots, then it's going to cost you money. So the industry, a lot of the businesses and nonprofit organizations have raised money or have money available to help the industry get more pilots, mechanics, crew members, and other aviation professionals like managers. And so scholarships are really, really helpful, and the money is out there. So go look for it. Okay, where do you find that money? Where do you find the scholarships? There are several lists. I have a list, and I'll put it on chat in a little bit, on the San Fernando Valley 99's website. And I have like 23, 26 pages of aviation scholarships. It's mainly for the West Coast. There are a few for the East Coast. And I know there are probably lots more that I could put on there from the other side of our country. But there are other lists. Pete has a great list every week when he puts out his newsletter about the workshops. He lists the scholarships that are available and due that month. So that's another resource. There's one called Flight Information, and that flightinformation.net. I'll have to verify that and give you the exact name. Then there's one called Blondes Love Aviation. So, and those are on my list. So take a look at the list. You can Google aviation scholarships. Go to Facebook and you'll find aviation scholarships. So looking for them, looking for the money is pretty simple, but I'll get into this later. You need to plan and plan ahead to look for the scholarships. Oh, Pete?
Perfect. Thank you for that answer. Tara, why are they important and where can we find them in your estimation?
Well, I think Ceci did a great job of saying why they're important. I mean, obviously, the industry is needing more up and coming young people to take over. As far as where you can find them, I mean, technology is on your side these days. I mean, you've got all of it at your fingertips. I mean, you can Google search all day, I'm sure, you know, aviation pilot scholarships, aviation, you know, maintenance scholarships, whatever it may be. Specifically talking about Choose Aerospace, chooseaerospace.org does have an ongoing list of available maintenance related scholarships on their website. I do keep it current with a list of who is currently accepting applications and who is just accept applications annually, whether they're open right now or not. But anyway, I mean, you can find lists like that, I mean, all over the place. So like I said, I mean, use the technology in front of you to find them because they're out there.
They're out there.
Thank you for that. And I just posted in chat one of the web pages on our site. I call it, or it's called Available Scholarships. I keep adding to this list. CESI, I must admit, is a resource. And then what I do is if deadlines are within the next 40 to 65 days, I put them on our industry events page, and they're featured by deadline dates. You can go in there, look at the calendar, and see when these scholarships are due. That way you at least have 30 to 45 days to plan ahead to prepare to write those applications and that sort of thing. So those are two resources, at least on our website. Also on that available scholarships page is Choose Aerospace. But at the bottom of it is a link to CESI's information, which she just posted as well. So we're a huge fan of CESI. Okay, next question. And Tara, I'll start with you. Okay, I found my scholarship. What now? Do you have any tips on the best way for me or anybody to apply for a scholarship?
I'd say you find your scholarship. You want to read through your eligibility, you're eligible. You want to read through your requirements. You want to make sure that you have all of the information that you need required by the scholarship. I'd say it's probably pretty typical for them to want a current transcript. So, you know, reach out to your administration at your school, get your current copy of your transcript. You know, it includes your GPA, which a lot of scholarships are also going to require. Recommendation letters, you know, reach out to, you know, whoever it is that you're going to want to ask for a recommendation letter. Give them a heads up. Do not ask them, you know, this scholarship program closes tomorrow. I need this today. If you want a good quality recommendation letter, I would say do it in advance. Make sure that you get that lined up. Essay questions, read over the questions, take the time to really think about your answers. I know from my personal experience with my review committee is that they really relate to students who tell their story and show their passion for aviation and why they want to do what they, you know, why they want to do, be in aviation, where they come from, you know, just what their situation is, how they can benefit from the scholarship. So don't be afraid to get a little personal. And so it's good to have all of that written up, you know, well thought out. Don't just go in and, you know, fill in the text box with whatever's off the top of your head. Because, you know, like Ceci said, there's money on the table. And if you want, you know, if it's not you, then who? So go, you know, work, you know, towards getting that. And a little bit of preparation, I think will take you a long ways with it.
That is great advice. Ceci.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. There's so much you can do to apply, to prepare to apply. If you look on the 99s, that website that I put up there, there's a tip on applying for scholarships. There's also a PowerPoint, and there are tips for writing your essay. There are tips on getting a letter, a recommendation letter. And I strongly suggest you prepare well ahead of time. But how do you identify what scholarship you want? Like, okay, there's this huge list that I have, and the other one that I just put up, flightscholarships.org, .info. You need to know your goals. What do you want to do? And if you're not really sure, that's okay. Think about it and start writing them down. You know, if you write your goals down, you're more likely to achieve them. There are statistics proving that that happens. So write your goals down and keep them in front of you. And then think about, okay, how am I going to get there? And that's the career plan that Pathways to Aviation will help you prepare. Then write a scholarship plan. When you look at the scholarship list, identify the ones, like Tara said, identify the scholarship that you think can really help you. And don't just use one scholarship. Find out all of them. Create a file of scholarships and keep track of them. Put them in order by due date. That really, really helps. So be sure to prepare yourself. And regarding the essay, there's a tip on that. It's really important to follow the instructions. If the organization scholarship requests you to answer certain questions, answer those questions. What I find easiest to do is just write down the questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then under each question, then answer it. That'll give you maybe one paragraph. Then the second question can give you another paragraph. So have a paragraph for each question. If it's more open-ended, well, you can start by talking about yourself, your skills, what your experience is, what your goals are, what you've done so far, why you need the money to help you get through it. And all of that is explained in my tip on writing an essay. It's so important to be prepared. Oh, let's see, letters of recommendation. I have a tip on finding a letter of recommendation. I think it's good to get 3 or 4 people, think about who can represent you best and talk to that person, sit down with them, make sure they understand what your goals are and what the scholarship that you're asking them to write the letter for is all about. So maybe if you have 4 people, have 4 letters, then pick the best one for you. And you can reuse the letter for one time. Don't reuse letters and essays. Don't recycle them. Let's see, what else? Oh, there's so much you can do to prepare. So read up on scholarships, listen to as many mentors as you can, and have your friends and family and teachers review your applications. Oh, another thing I'm going to emphasize, Tara talked about it. The first thing you do for a scholarship is to read the instructions. Once I had a young man ask me to help him with a scholarship. Okay, I looked at the scholarship that he wanted to apply for, and it was for a CRJ type rating. Well, this young man wasn't even a private pilot yet. So I thought, oh my goodness, he didn't read the instructions. He didn't know that this one really wasn't applicable to him. So I can't emphasize it enough to know how or why you're eligible and if you're eligible. If you need to be a certain age, make sure you're at that age. If you're between 18 and 20 and you're 35, you're not going to be eligible for that scholarship. And we come across those conditions all the time. So I can't emphasize enough. Read the directions, make sure you're eligible. If they require you to have your medical and your private and a certain number of hours and you don't, well, don't waste your time or the reviewer's time in applying. So be very careful. That's critical. Okay. Anything else, Tara?
Thank you, Ceci. And those tips were awesome. I kind of want to continue this discussion about tips. And when both of you were talking, I thought about 3 of them that like really came to mind. And one of them is in many scholarships now, thank goodness, they're electronic based. There's a form that you have to fill out online. No more paper, thank goodness. But a lot of them will have character or word limits. I'm a fan of filling, like if it says 400 character limit, I will type to 398. I will use it all to tell a story. And the way I would do it is I'll write it in like a Word document and wordsmith the heck out of it until I think it's perfect. And then I'll copy and paste it. What I won't do is type directly into the form and then edit, because you never know if you're going to accidentally hit submit. And there might be typos and things like that. So that's one tip. Another, and Tara hit on it too, and maybe this is a fault, Tara, because I'm on your review committee, is you're talking about GPA, right? If the why statement is so compelling to me, why you want to achieve this because of this scholarship, and your GPA isn't as high as it should be, I'm going to lean in favor of your why statement as a reviewer. And that goes to every reviewer who reads the scholarship application. It has a different frame of mind, thinks differently, has a different viewpoint. So you never know who you're talking to, you're writing to. And that's my style. I look for your why. If you have passion, it's on. If you don't have passion and your GPA is super high, I may not, be more inclined to give you a high score. So that's important. And my last tip that I picked up when you guys were talking about was the reference letter. And I do this, or we coach this when it comes to going for a job. If it was me, I would submit the scholarship information to whomever's going to write the reference letter so they know what you're seeking. A description of the scholarship, what the organization is, and maybe my personal statement, what that scholarship will do for me. That way, whoever's writing it, a principal, a mentor, an advisor, can basically just copy and paste into their reference letter some great things about you. But that's how I would approach it. Any additional thoughts on more tips that we haven't addressed yet?
I thought of one on when looking for scholarships, and it's related to setting your goals. Do you need a scholarship for academic? Do you need an academic scholarship to help you with your tuition, or maybe cost of learning to fly at Embry-Riddle? Or are you going for an advanced rating, like a certified flight instructor, or maybe aerobatic training? So distinguish those. And in my list, I have comments or description of each scholarship, and it says where I can figure it out. Is it academic, or is it for technical training, or is it for flying? Is it for youth? So be sure you know exactly in your goals, do you need help, financial help going to school? And you will take an approach to going to, if you're getting an academic scholarship, because there's so many sources for academic, many websites cover academic scholarships, and your school will have also much financial aid available. So take advantage of that. If you're going for technical training, that's a little bit different. The school might have a scholarship, might not. Organizations like the 99s or NBAA, EAA, AOPA has a lot of scholarships. It's almost a free, I don't want to say a free-for-all, but it's not as well defined as some other, like an academic. But you need to know what your cost is. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to talk about financial need. Many scholarships want you to show how you have to explain to the reviewers why you need a scholarship financially. So know the cost of your training or your education. You need $24,000 for your flight training at, say, Embry-Riddle. How much money do you already have? Do you have savings? Do you work, and are you setting aside so much money every paycheck? Ask your grandparents. They're a great source of money. And grandparents and aunts and uncles, tell them that you want money put into your aviation account for your birthday, for your Christmas, for special occasions. And I'm sure they'd be delighted to help you with that. So make use of that resource. Your family can really help you. So explain your financial need very clearly. 99s are real ticklers about this. If you just say, well, I need money so I can become a pilot, that doesn't cut it. You need to be specific about the financial need. Some scholarships don't require financial need. So that's where your passion that Pete was talking about really comes into play. Explain your passion, but don't get too flowery. Reviewers don't like flowery statements. I'm sure Tara can relate to that. It doesn't get you anywhere, but you need to have justification. You need to have lots of examples and lots of detail.
That was good. All right.
I just thought another thing, sorry about that. Pete, you had mentioned the online platforms, and AOPA and EAA scholarship applications use a platform that I always have trouble with, but I tell the people I mentor, write down their questions on a Word document and then answer each one and then get feedback from your mentor, your teacher, your friend, or whatever source you use to review your applications. And then after you have a really good copy, then you could start entering it into the online. So, and Pete alluded to that, and I find that really, really helpful, because if you start typing in there and submit it, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I forgot this, or I didn't say that right, or oh, I had a spelling error there. Review it ahead of time and have other people help you review, particularly with online copies.
Great, solid advice. Tara, have we missed anything on the tips department?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that the Word document is key. I mean, spell check is your friend. Use it, and punctuation is important. Do not submit please do not submit your application in all caps. Drives me crazy. I don't know why people do it, but anyway, I get it a lot. So anyway, yes, use the Word document, then copy and paste into the application when you're ready.
Perfect. I see questions in the chat. We'll get to those after this next question. And Ceci, you mentioned something about the different formats that we can apply scholarships in. And unfortunately, as those applying for scholarships, we don't have that luxury of picking the platform. That's up to people who are in your shoes, our shoes. I actually think the Choose Aerospace platform is top. Like, I'm going to steal that platform and apply it to other scholarships that I run separate from aviation, because that thing is easy for me, at least, to score. I get to review, score, everything is there in one place. And so that leads me to my next question. Let's put our hats on as the reviewers. And I'm going to start with Tara. As you're reviewing from your side, and again, every application form is different. We either put the score into the application form, or we have to have another form, separate Excel sheet, whatever that we utilize. What are you looking for, especially what we haven't discussed yet? What are you looking for as you read that scholarship application?
I mean, I feel like we touched on this pretty well. I mean, I feel like reviewers, they want to hear your story. They want to hear your why. They want to hear how, you would benefit from it. They want to know that you've done your research on the scholarship. Specifically, who provides it, where they come from. They are looking for how much extra time outside of the classroom are you spending pursuing aviation? Do you volunteer? Do you have an internship? Does your uncle, is he a mechanic and you go help him on the weekends? I mean, I don't know, whatever. But I think I hear a lot of reviewers specifically point out how much extra time they spend. Leadership. I mean, are you a leader in your classroom? How are you leading your peers? And then, of course, GPA is there. Like Pete said, I think that there are some other factors that can probably outweigh the GPA if it's not as high. But of course, I mean, you don't want to slack on it. You want to have a good GPA. You need to have good grades in order to have something to apply the scholarship to. As far as reference letters go, I think that who your reference letter is coming from is important. So if you can get a reference letter from, an instructor, or, the dean of aviation at your school, or, somebody, that up there like that, that is going to make a difference. I guarantee you that when reviewers open those reference letters, the first thing they do is they go down and they read the signature line, because they want to know who is saying these things about you. So it does matter. I get some, where grandma wrote a reference letter. That's great. I am sure that grandma has 1,000,001 great things to say about you. Like Ceci said, ask grandma to send money, not a reference letter. Secondly, I'm gonna touch a little bit more on this reference letter situation because it's a common problem that I come to because of the, you know, like we've talked about, the online platform. The way Choose Aerospace we collect reference letters is through the portal. So you're not actually submitting your reference letter. You put in your reference's email address. We send them a link that says, hey, click on this link, upload your reference letter here, and then it goes straight to me. So you guys don't ever see the reference letter unless they send it to you separately. So somebody who has just like minimal computer skills, who can upload a Word document into a website. I get a lot of people that try to send me the reference letters in a body of an email, and I kind of have to hold their hand through like how to upload a Word document into the website. So somebody who has minimal computer skills that can do that, I think is also important because so many of these platforms are online now. I think that's all of it. I think that's all I had written.
That is great. And I'm going to add one more to the reference letter. And we talk about this when we're talking about
We lose Pete.
or people involved with that organization. Pick references that those people might have a relationship with. That's so I would play that game. We're all going to go to our principals. We're all going to go to our instructors, but is there a wild card that you can bring in that everybody might know, have a relationship with? Because there might be a built-in trust factor so that they receive that reference letter and read it and they say, oh, Pete Park. Well, we know Pete. We trust Pete. Let's believe Pete. That's going to lay, kind of lie in your favor. So, Ceci, any additionals?
Oh, yes. As a reviewer, there are so many things. I think everything we've already talked about, and I have a few more comments. Well, I know the 99s, AOPA, EAA, and probably a lot of other organizations really like to know your involvement in aviation. How have you already spent your time in, and Tara touched on it too, your volunteer work. That's extremely important because these organizations, then the reviewers know you're serious, you're making an effort to learn as much as you can, and you're making an effort to give back. It's extremely important for 99. So if you're a member of the Women Pilots Association and you want to apply for one of their many scholarships, or Women in Aviation is another one, make sure you explain in detail what kind of events you have helped at, air shows. If you helped at Young Eagle events, do you turn pancakes for the fundraising that the explorers do? All of that is very important. So keep a log. I suggest you young people to keep a log, a journal of the activities that you do, the date and how many hours, and maybe some of you already have to. But that will come in handy when you apply for scholarships and maybe even for jobs. Another thing is if you have to attach some documents, make sure the scans, if that's how you're attaching them, are very clear. Sometimes certificates, pilot certificates, don't Xerox or scan very well. So always check the copies and make the best you can, or take them to a professional place to have copies made. Ask yourself, how can I be a good investment for this organization? Because the reviewers certainly ask that question. Will this applicant be a good investment for us? And so know the organization that is offering the scholarship, and think of ways where you can show why you should be awarded the scholarship, that you can be a good investment for them. Are you going to try to get more girls and women in aviation? Are you going to teach a class about aviation to your colleagues, or work at a special event? And can you help get other volunteers? So I know 99's again, I keep talking about 99s, but they give a lot of money, and women in aviation do too. And AOPA, I contribute to AOPA, and I'm astounded in a very positive way how incredible their scholarship winners are, because they look at how is this person going to help the aviation industry. Another thing that I've learned is that if you don't win, it's very discouraging, right? I mean, you expect to get all this money. You're not going to leave anything on the table. So you don't win though. Okay, what are you going to do then? So have a plan in your mind. And you might even mention that plan in your essay. You talk about your goals, how you're going to work towards those goals. If you're going to go for a rating, what school are you going to, and how much is it going to cost? How much do you need? And how long is it going to take? And if you want the money from the scholarship committee, but you don't get it, okay, what are you going to do? Okay, you'll work longer at it. You'll take on another job. I've seen applicants that have 3 or 4 jobs. Granted, most of them are part-time, but they're really serious about what they want to do. And if you're waiting on tables, you might be able to work an extra night and save some tip money, and then that will help you get over the hump. So things like that. What are you going to do if you don't win? And you can't just say, I'm going to apply for more scholarships. Or you don't even want to say, well, my parents' bank, the bank of mom and dad, they'll take care of it. Show your own personal initiative. What are you going to do? It might take you another year. Well, that's okay, but just be prepared. Get it in your mind what you're going to do, how you're going to react if you don't win. Because if you don't win, you want to just keep going. There are so many scholarships out there. If you don't win one, you will win another one. Keep applying for the scholarship. Apply, apply, apply. Look at my PowerPoint presentation that's on the 99s, sfv99s.org website. I talk about that, and you have to apply, 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 and keep at it, because you're worth it and you deserve it. And if you don't know how to word your essay, get help. We'll all help you with that too. Okay.
Awesome, Ceci. Gosh, you guys are just dropping the gems left and right, and that's awesome. Brenna, I see you're on the call. You have this question. I didn't know you had 2 jobs and you're a Purdue student. Why don't you share your question by unmuting yourself?
Brenda.
Perfect timing. I'm about to go into an exam, but I'm currently taking 21 credit hours. I have 2 part-time jobs, and I schedule everything on both a paper planner and like an actual online planner, so I can see how my time blocks out. I honestly don't have much time beyond Friday nights and maybe like one day on the weekend. So I have to ration my time with how I spend it on scholarships. How would you recommend that I prioritize one scholarship or the other, or pick which ones I'm most likely to be a good candidate for?
Woo. Yeah, that's tough, because time is worth a lot of money. That's for sure. And if you don't have it, that makes it a little bit more difficult. I'm not quite sure how to give suggestions on rationing your time. Prioritizing, make a list of all the things you have to do and how much time you have. And remember, you've got to take care of yourself too. You have to sleep, you have to eat, and you have to have some time off. So write a list of all the tasks and hours that you have to do, you have to take care of. And as you go over it with a friend maybe, and then start prioritizing. Well, this week I have to work till midnight. So, okay, I can't do anything Friday night, but Saturday morning, maybe I can spend 2 hours looking at scholarships. And then just look at each time frame, and that'll take some time to prioritize and allocate your time. I understand how difficult it is. I know in the last couple of weeks, I've been extremely stressed out with too many tasks, too many responsibilities, and I'm retired. I'm not supposed to have all this, but I thought about wrote down all the tasks that I have to do on the projects, and I just said no to some things, and then I moved on and focused on the ones that I knew I had to do. I don't know if that's any help to you, Brenda, or not.
Tara, any thoughts?
Hi, Brenna. Well, I think the fact that you are a busy student will work in your benefit in your essay. So say that, be sure to tell them I'm really busy and I'm taking 21 hours and I'm working 2 jobs. I mean, reviewers like to hear that stuff. As far as carving out time, I mean, I think the longest part probably is going to be narrowing it down to the ones that you want to apply for. And it's just going to be a matter of finding the ones that you are most eligible for, finding out what it is that is going to benefit you the most, whether that be monetary, books, test fees, whatever. And so that is going to take some time. As far as, once you find those and finding the time to actually fill out those applications. I think it's okay to, as long as you are ahead of the game and you start early in the application process, it's okay to just spend, 20 minutes here and there, writing out your essay answers. It's okay to, just spend a few minutes on it, walk away, come back later with some fresh eyes. I think that may benefit you. So it's not that you have to sit and say, okay, I can't, do anything else until this application is turned in, assuming that, you're not fighting the deadline. So yeah, I think, just doing your research and finding the ones that are good for you may take some time, but after that, I think it's okay to, spend, spread it out over days, filling out applications.
Can I add to that?
Go for it.
So I think that, as aviation, we're all a community. We should all be working together. You're not the only one who needs a scholarship. You're also not the only one taking 21 credit hours and working 2 jobs doing this nest. So find another person in a similar situation who probably also needs a scholarship, who could be myself, could be your friend, could be somebody else on this call, and work together with them. And it's a lot easier to prioritize something and make it happen if you have a friend or a teammate to help you make it happen. So maybe if you guys are going through the same exact thing, get together with that person, get to know someone going through the same thing, and you guys together say, okay, hey, let's meet on Friday at 2 p.m. and let's just look at scholarships together. Or does that make sense? Working together with somebody else on it instead of just trying to find that time yourself, it'll kind of hold both of you accountable. And if you need to do a little more work that day to help that person out, or if they need to do a little more work to help you out and say, okay, one of you look for the scholarship that we need, and then the next day one of us can write down notes about each other, about what we should put in our essays, and just kind of work together and manage your time that way. So that way you're not alone and somebody can also hold you accountable.
If I could add something, first of all, congratulations to both of you, because hard work is something that you get rewarded for usually. And I think that what you're doing is incredible. But look to your teachers, your professors, and your employers for them to help as well. Tell them what you're up to, ask for their help and direction, and I'm certain that they will be happy to give you their help wherever they can. And especially if you're doing the best that you can and that you're communicating with them, make sure that you are, make sure they know who you are, and that your interests and so forth. And lastly, from a selfish standpoint, these are the kind of articles that Aviation looks for in young people, people that are having struggles or doing something a little extra. So make sure you look at aviationusa.com and read the stories about these young people. And we'd like to hear your story, and we'd like to hear about your struggles and your success, because I can guarantee you those two contributors right now will get over those hurdles some way, shape, or form, and will become a success with it. And just the fact of what you talked about is part of your answer. And I'll stop. Thank you.
This is all great advice. And Brenda, you have a test, so you better get over to it. If we happen to talk about you when you're in your test, we'll have the recorded version available tomorrow. So, and then feel free to call me.
Thank you. I'll probably leave when they hand out the exam. I'm actually sitting in the exam right now.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Because we're almost out of time.
I have another comment. I have another comment, Pete.
Sure.
And, you know, we're talking about working with other people, having other people help us, asking for advice from people. Don't forget your thank yous. It's really important to thank the people who wrote your recommendation letter, the people who helped you with your essay, your buddy who you sat down with to go over those scholarships. Catherine, I love that comment. That was excellent. And but receiving a thank you note, email is okay, and that's a lot easier, but I personally love getting handwritten notes, and I get a lot from my young Eagles and from other people, but email is okay. You need to acknowledge the people who have helped you.
Solid. I love cards too, Ceci, so you're not alone. Joe, is that you were about to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Ceci, you did an amazing job, but Tara, you did too. I wanted to give a little update to those people who are looking to be a professional pilot. Ceci, I think you got the information from money.com for the 117,000 pilots needed. So they're woefully way under what the requirements are. Boeing is close to 600,000. And right now, the major airlines are hiring 1,000 people a year, and it's going to increase. Mm-hmm. And I did have one question. I had to leave for a few minutes. I don't know if Ceci or Tara covered this, but Ceci, you mentioned that when you apply for the scholarship, you tell the person that you're writing to how much money you need for whatever position or whatever training you're taking. My question is, if you apply to, say, 10 scholarships and you're lucky enough to get 3 of them, you have to report that to those 3 people because they might pull their scholarship if they know you had more money?
Well, 99s ask if you have applied for scholarships and when you expect to hear from them. And then when you hear from them, they want to know. I don't know of any other organizations that do that. And I don't know how they use that to weigh their decision, but they probably do. And if you were lucky to win 3, well, knowing the organization, you might want to tell them that you got it, but you're going to use it for the next one, or you can put that in your essay. If I get the scholarship, all the scholarships I've applied for, that isn't necessarily the best way to say it. And you know, if you get something to cover your private, then you need to build hours and you need to work on your instrument rating next. So there's a way of working that statement in that if I win the scholarship and I have extra, I will use it for my subsequent training. And I've seen applicants say that.
Okay.
I can't answer it completely, but those are my 2 observations.
Okay.
That's Ceci. That's probably how I would have responded. You can take the money and run, but the way you said it was way more eloquent. But okay, I think I'm going to stop it here because we all have. Go ahead, Ceci.
Oh yes, I responding to. I don't know who it was who talked about Boeing. That 117,000 pilots was for the U.S. was the 600,000 pilots, was that for the world? Because I know Boeing put out statistics that the whole world needed, and then by the US or by country. So,
yes. Yeah, the Boeing number is for the world.
Oh, okay. The 117,000 was just for the US from my.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
Cool. We have all that information on our website by that for that matter. What I want to do is thank the two of you, Tara, Ceci. It was an amazing show. Thank you for sharing. Wow, your insight, your amazingness, all that stuff. I think this is exactly what I was looking for in this session. And I hope for those attending got just as much, if not more, out of it than I did. If you're new to these shows, these workshops, we spend the entire hour talking about aviation and aerospace and how to achieve those career dreams. So we're going to continue this series. A whole new one starts up next Wednesday. We're going to talk about more about pathways to aviation and our certification process and how you can become career ready. Really, it's preparing you for, one, the scholarship, two, the college or trade school of your choice, and three is that job. So we're going to continue that next Wednesday. I encourage you to go onto the website, RSVP for that workshop or those workshops. They're all laid out through February 2, so you can pick them all if you want. And then in the meantime, if there's anything you need, you have a question, you want a resume reviewed, which is step number 2, or if there's anything you need, don't hesitate to email us, email me. My email is all over the website. You already received a couple emails from me. Anyhow, just reply and say, hey, Pete, can you do this? Can you answer this question? Or can you connect me to Tara or Ceci or Tom or Joe or anybody else in this call? We don't share their email or private information in our chat. Just email me or put it in the chat real quick. Hey, I want to meet Tara, Ceci, and we will make those introductions happen. So do that before the show ends, or just send me an email. With that, Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you to close this out, my friend.
Wow, this was one of the best we've had. I want to really, again, thank Tara and Ceci. A great job. And we've had so many new people on the call. I want you to know that we have this training and it's this fun every week. So join us again. Thanks again, you guys. And we're out in 3, 2, 1. See you next week.